Hi, welcome to Wisdom
Hello.
Wednesday, guys. We've already got a number of people watching.
Hello, Unity.
You guys know us. My name is Jesse. This is Amy. We are so glad to be here with you tonight. We're going to share a little bit about the message this past week, talk about where we're at spiritually. But first, we want to get started with a little centering.
Yes,
Yeah.
and if you're just joining, say hello in the comments section. We'd like to see who's hanging out with us today. Yes, we are going to first center ourselves so that we can be truly open and willing to receive the message and the meaning of today. So let's start with a peaceful meditation. So what I'd like you to actually do is, instead of closing your eyes first, I'd like you to look around your room, where you are right now. Maybe you're outside on your lanai, but look around the room and truly see what's surrounding you. Denise and Mark, they like to tell us that, we do a lot of sleepwalking. So let's be truly in the moment right now. And I want you to slowly look around the room and stop on something. Something mundane, a doorknob, a picture frame. And I want you to truly look at that. And I want you to inspect it. See the curves, the little details. And then I want you to move on. And if there's a window where you're at, take a look outside the window and truly see the world moving outside where you are. Look at the sky. Is it blue with clouds? Are there trees swaying? And truly see that. Take the time. And when you're ready, I'd like you to close your eyes and turn inward. And just like we sleepwalk in this world, we sleepwalk in ourselves. So I want you to take a moment to be mindful in your body, in your, as Denise would say, your meat suit. And I want you to start from the bottom of your toes, moving up your body. I want you to give honor to each part that is serving you. Each toe, your heels, moving up, really being intentional in your gratitude. And as you move your body nice and slowly, listen to the words of the song and truly be in your space and in your body. The breath of God is breathing me and resting in the breath of God. I know that all is well. The grace of God is gracing me and resting in the grace of God. I know that all is well. The love of God is loving me and resting in the love of God. I know that all is well. The breath So as you move up your body, honoring it, each toe, from your ankles, your calves, your knees, your thighs, all the way up, thanking it for serving you, for serving your spirit, for being a vessel. I'd like you to move to your heart center and envision with me a golden ball of light. And it may start off small, as big as your hand, but I want you to grow that ball of light. And now it's bigger than your body. And growing more, it's bigger than the room you're in. And beyond that, bigger than the house you're in. And as it expands out into the world, it's bigger than your state. It takes over the country and out and surrounds this beautiful world. And when we envelop this world with our golden light, we know we are all connected in our oneness of God. With that ball of light swirling its love, we know we are planting the garden of good. Take a deep breath and release. As you bring your awareness back into the room you're in, I would like to speak a prayer and blessing for our time together. And that prayer is that I know that each person that presses play on this video, whether it's now, weeks from now, you are here for a purpose. And you are here to plant a garden of good. I pray that we all know that we are one. We are here to see the good of God, and we are here to hear the message that is here for us tonight. And when we do that, when we hear the message for ourselves, we are creating the world that we want to see. So I pray that we can all be in this moment together and experience the goodness of spirit. And with that, I release this into the action of the law that only says yes. And together we say, so it is. Amen. Thank you.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you guys so much for being here with us.
Yay.
I know this is a little unusual. You know, usually it's Rev Denise, or in the past it was Mark. Usually there's a reverend leading this, but I think this is going to be a really cool time for the community to get together and just have a conversation about what we took from Sunday service.
Yeah, absolutely. I have some notes that we'll kind of go through. I wanted to just talk a little bit about us and where we're at spiritually. For those of us who haven't spoken with us personally, we're the musical directors at Unity Naples. We're a married couple. I grew up in a very fundamentalist Christian home. I'm so grateful to my parents for the values that they instilled in me that really have informed my seeking of joy in my life and the morals that build up my life that I will pass down to my daughter and that I pass on to Amy. But what didn't work for me was the judgmental God who would send you to hell if you didn't live a certain way. I found unity through Charles Fornaro, who's a musical director at the Naples Players, where we performed several shows. And it kind of snowballed from there. So I'm right there with all of you, just growing spiritually along with everyone in this congregation, and just so grateful to be a part of it. And I feel so full daily because of Unity Naples and our involvement there.
Yes, I mean, the growth that we are going to be talking about in the summer season there is no end. There's no beginning. Once we are cognizant in the world, we are growing and we are on the path that is meant for us. So my path has not been a spiritual one growing up, really, but I've always been pulled to know more and want more and see more. And it wasn't until Unity that I truly connected with what I am, what we are as a Unity community. So we are just so thankful for this community and so thankful to be with you guys tonight. I think it's going to be fun, and I hope we get to chat with you in the comment section as well, and just kind of keep on growing.
Yay. Hi to Les and Harold and Facebook user.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't see your name. Amy talked about growth, and that's kind of something we transitioned from. We did an Awakened World last month, and now we're transitioning into planting our spiritual garden. So in some ways it kind of feels like, oh, we're starting over, we're planting a seed, but it's really passing off from the work that we do for awakening. We don't just, boom, we're awakened. I mean, very few people do.
Yeah.
But the Awakened World was kind of teaching us how to recognize, as Amy said in that meditation, the sleepwalking in our lives. And now we're learning how to plant within the fertile soil of that understanding. So I think it's really cool to transition from an Awakened World into planting this garden. And it's something that we're going to be doing all summer. That growth is something that is happening in beautiful ways in this community, so I think it's the perfect theme, and we're very excited to kind of explore it, where we have some fun songs planned, but it's not going to be all gardening themed songs because you'll get tired of that, but it's going to be fun. So
Yes.
what I liked so much about the beginning of this message, as it was the first message in this series, is that Rev Denise took it back to the basics of love and law. That's what it all comes down to. She talked about our experience of Spirit of God being a personal one, so we find our love within that, and then inside of that, how did she say it? It's how that love relates to the laws of the universe, which behave the same no matter what. A carrot seed is always going to produce a carrot, etc. So I love that she started with that, because that is basically the foundation of growth, is understanding that it starts with love, it starts with giving love, and then how that love interacts with law is the fun dance that we all get to do.
Yeah, I feel like we can complicate things as humans. Like Denise said, we were the unique beings that were given the option to think. The animals will do what they do. They don't question their purpose in life. And so it's a challenge that the human race has to have the power to think, and we overcomplicate it. I mean, we are here to be an expression of love. And that is it. We add all of these things of what is our purpose, but it is the law of love that unites us and is the only truth. And so if you go through your life saying, is this love? And if the answer is no, then it's not for you.
Right.
Yeah.
That's something we talk about in our circle of friends, is when we start talking about the stressors in our lives, or we start complaining about something, the question is, does it bring you joy? And that's another way of saying, is this love? Am I giving and receiving love out of this? Is this bringing me joy? Is such an easy question to ask, and it helps you, we'll kind of go over this in next week's message, but it helps you to weed out the things that aren't working for you, that aren't serving you. So.
Yes. I mean, what she really spoke about this past week was our power to create the world that we want to see. You think it becomes reality, which I think is a great foundation for what the summer's going to bring.
It's absolutely true that thoughts create, and she went further and said that words create. It is that simple. But, and here's what I like to do with each message that I hear at Unity. I like to take a word away from it. So especially Awakened World, I took away work. There's still work to do. We're not fully awakened. We are awakening. This message, the word I took away was practice. So I want to pose a question to all of y'all. Practice is how we plant good. We've lived our whole lives, some of us have lived our whole lives planting the wrong seeds. So how do we plant the right seeds? To me, it requires practice of constantly planting those right seeds over and over again. So what are some of the ways that you can do that in your life? What are some of the ways you can practice planting seeds of abundance in your life, as opposed to seeds of lack and limitation? So for you, that can be, I need joy, or I need more money, or I need a better job, or what can you do in your life? Sound off in the comments.
Yes.
To plant those seeds of positivity. For me, practice is writing. Writing things down. And I learned this through The Artist's Way. One of the biggest tools in The Artist's Way, which is a book by Julia Cameron and a class that was taught by Patrick Ziegler, he continues to teach it, is there's two tenets to it, and one is daily journaling. So you wake up in the morning, you have to write 3 pages of journaling. And I learned through that my practice, because essentially what planting a seed is taking the first step. For me, that's writing it down, because when I write down the thought that I have, whether it's a negative or a positive thought, it takes me down the road to discovering what that thought is, how it serves or doesn't serve me, and what I can create from it. So for me, it's writing, also praying, and singing.
Yes, of course. I would say, if I would like to answer that question, I would say that the way that I practice planting seeds of abundance is we all have thoughts that pop into our heads, and some are great, but some are not so great and not healthy thoughts for the world, for us, and so on. And so when a thought pops up, I like to think, where did that thought come from? Did I plant that seed? Did somebody plant that seed in me? And then what happens if I think the opposite?
That's a good one.
Yeah, like, oh gosh, what's a good example? Everybody does the traffic thing. Oh, why are they driving so slow? They must not know where they're going. What are they doing? Don't they know I have somewhere to go? That's the thought. Who planted that seed? Well, I did. I planted that seed. I don't know what their life is. I'm making assumptions about them. What if I made the opposite assumptions? What if it's a new mom who has a little baby in the car and, she's just trying her best and she's so scared? Or what if it's a person who just moved here and they're so excited, but they have no idea what they're doing and they're so apologetic that they're, pushing people behind us? It's so easy to just say, what if I thought the opposite? And then there you go, you're on a completely different path in your thought process.
Something that came to mind for me during service when she started talking about, a tomato seed breeds a tomato no matter what, 100% of the time, is Levi Christ podcast, which I listen to on my road trips when I go to do gigs. You all know Levi Christ, amazing musician. He is also a spiritual practitioner. In fact, Reverend Denise was his spiritual practitioner when he started down his road of awakening. He has a podcast. It's called the Church of Christ Podcast. I encourage you to look it up if you're just looking for an easy thing to put on just to listen to while you're doing the dishes, cleaning around the house, especially while you're driving. It's fantastic. Lots of good knowledge in there. He talked about in one of his earlier episodes about how what you receive is vibrating with the energy that you put out. So it's just another way of saying you get what you give, or you will grow the seeds that you've planted. So if you are seeing lack and limitation in your life, it's because you are planting seeds of lack and limitation. So it's simply a matter of, again, finding the positive and practicing that over and over again, because weeding is hard when you've been doing it, your whole life. So that's the podcast there. If you want to search it on whatever your podcast app is, if you have an iPhone, it's right there. But yeah, fantastic podcast. Definitely recommend listening to that if you're looking for more spiritual goodness.
Denise.
Yes, Denise. He is
Levi
he's
is
amazing.
awesome.
And he's great at this too. He would make a great radio DJ after listening to him on this. Fantastic.
Yes. Oh, we have somebody from Germany. Harold, thank you for joining us all the way from Germany. Oh, yes.
Hi, Jenna. No Ellie today. Oh, she's with Nana, so she's safe and sound. Unless she starts screaming, we'll go get her. But Nana's great. She knows what she's doing.
Definitely. Well, something that I really took away is I am a stickler. I love a good metaphor. And what I loved about the service and the message that Denise gave was her metaphor of her garden. I think that it was perfect. She inherited this garden that she hated, that she didn't like anything that was growing in it, but she thought that she just had to deal with it because of all the many excuses that she put in her mind. Oh, I'm too lazy. It's too scary to get in there with the spiders. I don't know what I want. That's a big one. It's going to cost too much. But then she just asked for it. She had somebody and they were just like, well, then what do you want? And I think that, we all inherit a garden. We all inherit our subconscious, from our environment, the way we grew up, no shame and blame in that. Everybody tries their best to raise their children. but we push what we've known onto our children, and they push onto theirs. It's a common thread that goes through time. And we think about families that have a history of alcoholism or a history of addiction in general. It just carries on until someone decides that they want change, and they're going to break that chain. And so that's what Denise did with her garden. Is she inherited it, she thought she had to deal with it, and then she decided to make a change and finally had the person who could facilitate that. And with us, it is our spirit, our God, that can facilitate that as long as we just ask for what we want. And the too lazy, you like people who want to lose weight, oh, I'm too lazy. Oh, it'll cost too much to go to a gym. Oh, it's too scary. What if I hurt myself? There's so many reasons to not make a change. It's very, very easy to just complain about the state that you're in. Oh, I really want a nicer house. I hate my house. The plumbing's horrible. This and that, this and that. It's very, very easy to just complain about what you have. The hard thing is asking for what you want, creating what you want. She didn't even know what she wanted in her garden.
Yeah. I think the cool thing was that she had to have someone come and ask her, and she hadn't even thought about it. The gardener asked, "What do you want?" She's like, "Well, I don't know. I want it to be different, and that's it." And we all want it to be different, but we don't stop and think about what we want.
And I think what she did, what she said, and I didn't catch it the first time around, I watched it again, is that she looked around to her neighbors' yards and picked things inside of their yard. And I think that is a huge thing, because when we see somebody who is loving life, we're like, I want what they want. I want what they got. And so when you look to see what they have, they are truly appreciative of what they have, and they are in the moment. They are in the now. And that's what she wanted. She looked to others.
Yeah. And I think that's a good metaphor for what we can look to. What is the gardener in our lives that we need to seek out to ask us what we want? That can be ourselves. I think for me, it's the community. It's great that we have Unity community and we have those people that we can talk to. Sound off in the comments, what is keeping you from planting the garden you want? And that's just something to think about, something to ask yourself. What is the garden? First of all, what is the garden that you want? You may not know, and that's something where for me it's writing. So maybe try writing it down and thinking about what you want. Versus where you're at right now. Focus on what it is that you want rather than where you are.
Definitely.
So a cool quote I found around that first step, because we tend to think of things in the big picture, and we go, well, I want the big house now, or I want the expensive car now, or whatever it is that we want. But it always starts with a small step. And it's a bunch of small steps, and that's all it is. So this quote I thought was perfect. Small deeds done are better than great deeds planned, because a great deed planned doesn't happen. So if you think of things in small steps, and planting a seed is such a small step, that's a good place to start.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that we get overwhelmed. The garden, her garden was just too much for her to take on, and we have to rely on community. It's here for us. The Unity community is just growing and expanding and changing, and the actual grounds are growing and expanding and changing. It's blooming, and all of these things are happening physically, but they're also happening spiritually. And I think it can be scary to jump into that 100%, they always say, Mark and all that, they say it's woo-woo-y or something,
woo-woo. Those people over there are woo-woo.
Yeah.
I love that. I love being woo-woo.
Yeah. I know in the past, I've checked out other religions and churches, and I honestly was just embarrassed to dive in. I felt like I was an imposter. And when I finally let go and wasn't afraid to look silly and wasn't afraid to raise my hands and center into who I am, that's when I felt free. I mean, we hold on to our past. we hold on to our old garden, and really it just takes the jumping in and getting our hands in the dirt, and it's scary, but it's so worth it. So worth it.
Yay.
Yes.
Anything else to add? Anything y'all want to add? Sound off in the comments.
Yes.
It would help if I could see them. Thank you, Denise. You're awesome too.
My garden needs some
Harold,
attention.
still letting go of stuff I don't need. That's very hard. It's hard to look at things that we want and say, well, I don't need that externally and internally. Yeah, I'm definitely with you there, Harold.
Yeah, letting go of the stuff you don't need. It's tough because you think that all of those things are who you are. And those are just the extra pieces. There was a quote, I wish I remembered it. It was from way ago. It was something about a statue and chiseling away at the statue, and that the statue was always there in the middle, and the stone around it was just all the extra stuff that was being chipped away. It wasn't that you were creating this masterpiece in the center and it wasn't there. It was there. You were chipping away at all the extra stuff. Everything else besides love is just an extra. It's just a thing that we take on from the world, and some of it can bring us joy, but it's all temporary. You know, the only true consistent thing in our lives that is real is love. And so, yeah, I get it. It's tough. And it's tough to discern what is real love from what is just something that I've grown fond of. So that's a journey that you have to go on, but it's the journey that's worth it, because the sleepwalking, and the teeter-tottering, it's not going to last. It's not going to fulfill you. Yeah, definitely. All right. Well,
we're going to do a fun song we haven't done in a while, but first we do want to invite you to give if you can. Give your love, give your money if you can. Where is it at? So we have multiple ways to give. Text to give is the easiest way. You have the phone number right there on the bottom. If you have done this before, just add the dollar amount, put the word wisdom so we know where it's coming from. If you can give, that helps Wisdom Wednesday keep going. It keeps Wisdom Wednesday as musical as it has been. We hope you guys are enjoying that. You can also give online at unitynaples.org/give. I'm just going to leave that up there.
Yeah.
And we're going to sing a little ditty. This is a tune we haven't done in a while. We used to open service with this one. Such a fun song, and it's the seed of love that we are planting, the seeds of peace and love, because it's really what it comes down to. It's a great place to start. So. Peace and love, peace and love. That's all I'm thinking of, baby. Peace and love, peace and love, peace and love. That's all I'm thinking of, baby. Peace and love. Riding around in a Volkswagen van, thinking about the people upside down in Japan, staring at the stars in a distant galaxy, wondering if there's someone out there staring back at me, singing peace and love, peace and love. That's all I'm thinking of, baby. Peace and love, peace and love, peace and love. That's all I'm thinking of, baby. Peace and love. Yeah. Sometimes I think I might just move up to Vermont, open a bookstore or a vegan restaurant. Got crazy calm and never harmed a single soul. So if you wanna join me, then together we'll go. Oh yeah, we'll never live forever, but baby, things could be worse. 'Cause when we get together, we are one with the universe. Woohoo, 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 woohoo. Singing peace and love, peace and love. That's all I'm thinking of, baby. Peace and love, peace and love, peace and love. That's all I'm thinking of, baby. Peace and love. Sing it. Peace and love, peace and love. That's all I'm thinking of, baby. Peace and love. Yay!
Fun. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for stopping by. We appreciate each and every one of you. And I hope that we see you at next Sunday's service. If we don't see you, I hope we get you watching here on virtually. We have our virtual services as well that happen at the same time. And yeah, thank you so much.
Yay, awesome. Thank you guys. Any other comments? Thank you. You're welcome, Jenna. Thank you guys so much.
Yes.
Tell others about Wisdom Wednesday. Let's close out with prayer. Take a deep breath, release. Amy said it all in that opening meditation. It's all about the growth. I speak a blessing on the seeds that are planted today, knowing that we are not becoming, but we have already become. And I say yes to the beautiful garden that is growing. Together we all say, and so it is. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you guys so much. Blessings, and we'll see you on Sunday.
Bye.
Bye. Love you.